Hey, I've got my Natalie here. It's the Natalie show right now. Natalie and Natalie. And we are live on Facebook. Woohoo. Okay, let's see. Make sure I can see the comments. Chat. There we go. Okay. Zoom chat is now open. And ooh, Natalie, I just got your question. Awesome. I'm adding that to the queue. Got a lot of great questions this week. Add that to the end there. I think it'll be relevant for that conversation. Let's see if we have others joining the Zoom. And did not add this question in here. Okay, cool. That one. Bear with me, y'all. And a quick disclaimer to my clients who have checked in and are waiting for your feedback this week. Yesterday turned out to be a marathon travel day. We had some delays. I got in after 1 a.m. So I am behind. So if you haven't gotten my feedback yet this week, you will. Just give me another day or two. I'll get to everyone, I promise. And that goes to also for anyone who's reached out via email for consults or anything like that. Playing catch up. I have lots of emails to read, but that gets into the first thing I wanted to share about tonight. Tonight is an open Q&A and a live chat with me. It's kind of an anything goes, ask me anything kind of night. Thank you to everyone who has submitted questions in advance. That is going to be the bulk of what we talk about tonight. I'm thinking we may not have time for live questions at the end because there's a lot of questions that I want to get through and a lot of updates and announcements I want to make. Starting with a KetoCon recap, share a little bit about how that event went. Some of it is relevant to some of the questions that I got as well. So I think that'll tie in really well. If you have questions throughout tonight's live, feel free to drop them in the chat. If I can't get to them tonight, I will save them for the next one, or I will post something in the group that answers your question. So always feel free to ask. All right, cool. Now I have the comments showing in the group. Yay. Shana, you were there an hour early. Sorry, I think that time probably threw some people off because I was on Central Time when I scheduled the call in Austin, Texas, but so that was 6:30 Central this week and 7:30 Eastern. Also because I had a conflict on my calendar earlier. So glad you're on now. Okay, first things first, KetoCon. This was my second year at KetoCon and my first time speaking at KetoCon. Last year, I attended with Coach Bronson for his talk and his book signing. He had just launched published his book, Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness. If you have not gotten Coach Bronson's book, it's an incredible read and probably would help a lot of you with some of the questions you had about recomp and building muscle and losing body fat and all those things. So that's a great read. Check that out. It is in my Amazon recommendations. He's a thumbs upping you. You want to come say hi?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Coach Bronson has a live himself in 25 minutes.
I know, right?
We're going to be
Don't talk too loud.
I might get passionate about something. It's still in there. It's deep in there.
It's deep in there.
Wait, I think I got it. I think I got it.
This is not what you all signed up to watch.
Make a wish.
Real life.
Stuck. What does that mean? Does that mean the wish is not going to come true? All right, y'all. This is like a taste of what everybody got at KetoCon with me and Coach Bronson, because we presented together this year. We talked about healthy lifestyles for couples, and if you know either of us or both of us, you know that we are geeks when it comes to the mindset and habit change piece. So that talk, I don't know what people were expecting, if they thought we were just going to get into the nitty gritty of cooking meals together and working out together and things of that nature. But we, of course, did what we always do, and we got into the heart stuff and the mind stuff and communication. It was kind of like couples therapy. One of our friends in the keto space shared it and said she felt like she was at a marriage counseling session, and she walked away feeling really grateful for her husband. So that was a little taste of something that's coming up later this year, which I will share in just a moment, because there's so much coming up. I figured this would be a great opportunity to share with you some of the things that are coming up specifically for this group, for this community, and also in general. Oh, I've got some people waiting in the waiting room. Let them in. Okay, it's going a little slow here. All right, let's let them in. Yay. It looks like it's Mary. It's Marie twice. You may be on two. Okay, nope, now I got her once. Okay, cool. Good. Debbie says, I sound a little hoarse. This is my voice. It's sometimes more pronounced than others, but I do have kind of a raspy voice. It sometimes is a little clearer than others, but it's not a function of the conference, although I did do a lot of talking, a lot of greeting, a lot of socializing, more than usual. Beyond, this is usually my general socialization, is here in these master classes, in these lives, and then with my clients on one-on-one calls. So I definitely did do a lot more talking than usual this weekend, for sure. And probably didn't sleep as much as I should have. But, it's not everyday life, so cool. All right, let's see. What else did I want to? Oh, KetoCon, yes. Okay, so other things about KetoCon. It was very different this year. Last year, and if those of you who have ever been to KetoCon before, you may remember that it was, I'm freezing again. What's going on? Let me check my Wi-Fi connection. Okay, I'm on the correct Wi-Fi, good. Let me know if anything goes out for you guys at any point in time. Just keep me posted in the chats. Okay, so last year, KetoCon, I will say there were a lot of keto treats, keto indulgences, keto, I'm saying keto in air quotes, because a lot of these things are not really going to be beneficial on a ketogenic diet. They're adding a lot of flours, different kinds of flours, and fibers, and corn starch and corn syrup, and all kinds of things that are not a good idea on any diet. And many times the total carbs on those things, those food-like products, those processed foods, are very high. So last year I saw a lot of that. Keto chocolate, cupcakes, cookies, all the keto pancakes, all the things. And unfortunately, I indulged in a lot of that stuff, not because I really believed it was keto and, oh, it's going to be good for me, but just because it was there and it's delicious. And so I tried things. And I'll tell you, by the end of the weekend last year, I was not a happy camper. My gut was not a happy camper. My body was not happy with me. So this year, I was happy to see that there was a lot less of that going on in the expo hall. So KetoCon this year was much more reminiscent of one of my old favorite conferences from back in the day, which was called Paleo FX, which was in the same center, the Palmer Center in Austin, Texas. And it had gotten kind of biohacky toward the end of the last couple of years that they had it. My last time attending that was 2019. And there was, so this year at KetoCon, we saw red light therapy, saunas, cold plunge. There was a company that had a cold plunge, and hey, I don't know if she joined the Facebook group yet, but she's one of my newer clients. She was there. She tried the cold plunge. She loved it. She did it twice. If there's one regret I have of the whole weekend, is that I didn't do the cold plunge and the saunas and the red light. I love that kind of stuff. If you've seen some of my other masterclasses, you've seen me talk about these recovery therapies. I planned on going through all of that, but it was just so busy talking with people and then with our speaking engagements. And we ended up doing a roundtable discussion on the last day, which we did last year as well with two crazy ketos, Joe and Rachel Stouffer. They will be putting it on their YouTube channel, Two Crazy Ketos with a K, Crazy with a K. They are fantastic people, some of our favorite people in the space. And so we did that with them again this year. Jonathan Shane of the Keto Road, who is a keto runner, long distance runner, and the carnivorist. Hey, what's his name? Carnivorist? James? The carnivorist. James, he has an amazing story of coming back from veganism. So he's an ex-vegan. He was very, very sick, really powerful story. So that was a really great panel we did the last day. It was kind of impromptu, but we threw it on the schedule. We did it in the VIP lounge. So we had some people in the audience with us this year. Last year, we did it totally speaking to a camera. So that'll be coming out. And they recently posted right before KetoCon our roundtable discussion from last year. So I'll post that in the group actually, so y'all can see that one we did last year. That was a good one too. We had a slightly different panel this year, but really, really powerful panel. We talked about our stories and shared a lot of great tips there. Other highlights from KetoCon, there were some new companies, new food companies. There's some stuff we're going to be doing, like giveaways. We're going to incorporate some things into our conference, which I'll share about in a moment. Because we got some really cool things and we made some connections with some really cool new companies that we're looking forward to supporting. If I talked about it all, we would be here all night talking about KetoCon. So I'm not going to do that, but I will be sharing on my Instagram more of the highlights and the people that we connected with. And then I want to do one all about the products because there are some products I would love to promote. But all that to say, I was very happy that this year I ate meat and keto bricks and carnivore bar, and that was pretty much it. And then we actually had our lunches and our dinners and our breakfasts and stuff. So that went much better without all the temptation of all the keto-fied stuff around. So kudos to Robin for that with KetoCon. All right, let's talk about the rest of the events this year because Bronson and I are doing a lot more traveling. So if you didn't get a chance to see us at KetoCon, there are some other opportunities coming up. First, the next thing on the calendar is the low carb cruise. This is happening the first week in June. June 4th, we leave, get on the ship, come back on the 11th. So it's a full week-long cruise. It's a part of Royal Caribbean. It is going out of Galveston, Texas. You can check that out at lowcarbcruise.com. They may still have some room left if you're a cruiser and you want to join us. The cruise ship itself is not low carb. Our group is low carb. It's like doing a conference on a cruise ship. So it's a great idea, whether you can join this year or not, next year, the year after, is a great way to combine like a family vacation. If you're budgeting and you're thinking about you can only do so many things in a year, but you would love to come to a keto conference or a low carb conference, this is a great way to do both. We absolutely loved it last year. We both spoke last year and we're both speaking again this year. And Bronson will be leading workshops, movement workshops, 2 or 3 days of the cruise. So we do, while we're at sea, we do conference days. And then the rest of the days you still have as a cruise to go explore when we port at the different islands. So super excited this year for that. And then after that in July, our next event is actually our event. This is the first time we are hosting a conference of our own, kind of more of a seminar style. We have a Friday and Saturday, all day Saturday, kind of half day, evening Friday. We will have The real special thing with our conference, a couple of things. First, it's called Antithetic Baltimore. You can find it, and I will be dropping it like crazy over the next few weeks, so don't even worry, it'll be posted in the group a lot. Antithetic-conference.com. And first special thing about it is that we are giving you more opportunity to be intimate with the speakers, like to meet the speakers, talk to the speakers, not make it so VIP that, oh, you have to have this special VIP ticket to be near the speakers. We're doing a Friday night meet and greet and an opening session. Maria Emmerich will be doing our opening session on Friday. And then Saturday, we have speakers all day long. New speaker just confirmed, Dr. Robert Sivas. So if you're as big a fan of Dr. Sivas as I am, you'll be thrilled that he's going to be joining us on Saturday. Dr. Barry will be joining us via live stream. That is his baby's birthday. So first birthday for the newborn, you know, we gotta give him a pass on that. But he will be joining us to do a Zoom session, and then everybody else. We've got a really fantastic lineup. So we are super excited to bring this kind of in-person experience to the East Coast. So if you are anywhere in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, South, or you want to fly from anywhere else, we would love to have you with us for Antithetic Baltimore. That is July 14th and 15th. Yay, Debbie, you're going to be on the Low Carb Cruise. Woohoo! Looking forward to seeing you there. All right, after our own conference in September, we will be in Las Vegas for Las Vegas Keto Health Expo. This is the place where Bronson and I met 2 years ago, and it all began. So we had to go back. Bronson is going to be speaking there, and I'll be tagging along for that one. Who knows, maybe Robbie will find something he wants me to do there. It's very possible. So excited to be there, and also celebrating our 2-year anniversary while we're out there. That's September. Let me double check the dates. And I will be sending out an email to all of you who dropped in your email when you joined the group or otherwise signed up and are on my email list. You'll get an email with the whole schedule of events for the year. If you're not on my email list, but you want to get on it, you can just DM me with your email address, send me a private message, and I'll put you on the list. Okay, Keto Las Vegas is the last weekend in September. So it's the 28th, Friday the 28th through the 30th. I believe it's a Friday, Saturday. It's a maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Cool. And then there's one more very special thing. Dates are to be announced, but we're looking at mid-October for our next couples retreat. We did our first couples retreat last year at the beach in Destin, Florida. This year, we're going to the mountains. The location, venue, and dates are not yet confirmed, but if you check out ketofitliving.com, that is where all the information about the retreat will be posted. And if you go to that website, you can sign up to get on the interest list to be the first to hear about it when everything gets confirmed. So we're very excited about that. And this year, we will have our own private chef cooking for us all weekend. And she is a carnivore chef. For those of you, if you've ever heard of It's Courtney Luna on Instagram or YouTube, she's kind of a big deal. She's such a sweetheart, and we're thrilled to have her with us cooking for us and also doing a cooking demo to teach you a thing or two. She's a fantastic chef, former yacht chef, and she's a fantastic carnivore chef. Okay, so that's it for the events, the live events coming up. Possibly, there may be one more. All right, let me tell you a little bit about what's coming to the Keto Bikini community, so to our tribe. Since maybe February, I have talked about this. When we did the Grace and Grind Challenge back in January to February, those of you who joined me on that, it was an absolutely incredible experience. Grace and grind. Y'all know I'm always talking about finding this sustainable lifestyle, right? We have to grind to get to our goals, but we also have to have grace with ourselves. Not in a way that we're letting ourselves off the hook, but in a way that we have, you know, this we never really get to that elusive balance. Everything's not always going to be perfectly balanced, but how do you manage the grace within the grind? So finally, and launching the membership. So this membership is a very easy entry, $29 a month, and it will be a place to connect very much like this. Live group chats once a week with all of my private clients and any Grace and Grind members. So that is really the gist of it. It's going to be 4 calls a month, at least to start with, every week, once every week. And I would love to be able to add more office hours and things of that nature to it. But we'll start with 4 calls every other week, every single week. And then, 4 calls a month, once per week. And then also you'll get added into my app so you can track your own stuff. It will not be a coaching relationship, so I won't be setting your macros and assigning you training the way I do with my private clients, but I will be offering some coaching add-ons if that's something that you'd like to explore. But you will have access to the app for your own tracking of your body composition, the things I always talk about here, body composition. You can sync up, if you use MyFitnessPal, you can sync that with the app to track your food, and you can add in your own activity and workouts to track it that way. So it's a great handy little tool to have, and you'll have access to our private group text within the app. So if there's something between those calls and you just want to get some thoughts from the ladies. It's mostly the ladies chatting in there, and then I drop in with some announcements from time to time. But we will have a Grace and Grind dedicated membership group chat or group text. So that's coming. I'm aiming to get that up and running by May 1st, if not before. So look out for that. I'll be announcing that in the group when it goes live. Okay. The next thing, and I don't have dates for this yet, but I'm also open to some feedback. I am relaunching the Summer Shred. I have put this away for a couple of years. This was the big, fun, amazing thing that kind of started all of Keto Bikini everything. And this was my Keto Bikini 6-week Summer Shred transformation challenge that I launched in 2020. I am bringing it back as a live program. I had turned it into a PDF download that you could get from my website, but I am revamping all of the training, the cardio, I'm revamping the whole thing pretty much with new programs, and it will be a live thing. So I would love to get some thoughts on, I'm thinking about making it more than 6 weeks. I mean, 6-week Summer Shred sounds so much fun, all that alliteration, but I really would like to spend a little more time with everyone so that it doesn't feel like this really quick thing that comes and goes very fast. So I'm thinking 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks, 12 at the most, because that would be like the entire summer season. And I don't generally recommend always cutting for so long, because it is a shred. It is about dropping body fat, maintaining and or building muscle, and basically transforming your body. I'm throwing everything in there that is like, if you were prepping for a bikini competition, this is what you would do. So all of those little pro tips and secrets are going into it. So I'd love your feedback on how many weeks would be something that you would be interested in. 6, 8, or 10 is probably where I would land. So once I figure that out, I will announce the dates, start dates for that. That will be an application only process, because there's going to be some prerequisites before you dive into that, because I wouldn't want to just throw anyone into that. That's going to be an advanced program. So stay tuned for more on that. This one directly answers a question that was asked, and that is, are you writing some type of book this year? Either a cookbook or comprehensive competing book? And she read my mind, because yes, both of those books are on my agenda for this year. I don't know when. It's all going to just depend on how quickly I can get them written and edited and published. But my first cookbook, I'm promising my first cookbook by the end of the year, Keto Bikini Kitchen, and my Keto Bikini comprehensive competition prep guide. Probably not going to call it that. Probably find a more fun title. But both of those books are in the works, and stay tuned for more as they become available. Also coming this year at some point, I do already have Keto Bikini merchandise, apparel, some cute tank tops, hats, bags, drawstring bags, stuff like that. But I want to branch out and make it kind of cute and kitschy and put some fun mottos on it. So if you have any fun ideas for t-shirts or things that you'd want on some apparel, drop it in the group. I'll be building that out and sharing that as that gets built out. Things like meaty girls or body by bacon and fun stuff like that. And then finally, I am a nutritional therapy practitioner, and I really have not been using that other than in some instances with some clients. So that's something that will come down the pike later on with consults, offering consults and supplement recommendations. Because I get a lot of questions all the time about supplements, and I can't just recommend without knowing more and being able to dive deeper into your health status and things of that nature. So I am planning to open my doors for nutritional therapy as a side thing on a consult basis. So more information to come about that. So that's everything in Keto Bikini land. That took up about the first half of this Q&A. Now let's dive into the questions. All right. Ooh, okay, Shana likes the 10-week idea. Yeah, it definitely felt quick to do the 6 weeks. It was like we got in and then we were done. So I definitely like a little bit longer runway on that. Oh, Bronson has a question. Yes, love.
Before my call starts,
What's your question?
how did you get so pretty?
He's trying to make me blush on my. Did y'all hear that? Kisses. I can't stand it, y'all. Oh my gosh. Can't stop smiling. That man, I wish this kind of love on everyone all over the world. Okay, he totally just like got me all in my feels for a minute there. Okay. Tori says hi. He says hi. Okay, let's see. All right, let's get into these questions. All right, first one's a really quick one and a fun one. Whoever it was that asked me about Pluck Organ Seasoning. I should have grabbed the little bag. I have it in my cabinet. We went farm shopping, if you will. We went to Sally Fallon's farm, actually, if y'all have ever heard of the Weston A. Price Foundation. Sally Fallon's farm, original farm, is only a couple hours away from us. So we went over there and we explored and we got all kinds of fun things. And one of the things I discovered there was Pluck Organ Seasoning. So I bought a bag. It was like $15 a bag. It's not cheap, but you can use a very small amount of it, like a quarter of a teaspoon, and it will give you basically what you would get from from eating organs without having to eat organs. And for people like me who don't like taking a lot of capsules, you also don't have to do a lot of capsules. You know, you can just sprinkle it in your food. So she asked me for my thoughts on that seasoning. I love it. It doesn't taste like organs at all. It tastes like, you know, they have different seasoning blends. I have the zesty garlic, which I love. And then they actually sent us some product for our meetup with the Modern Stone Age Kitchen in Maryland that we did last November. So we got little sample size ones for that. And that was a different one. I think that was their original blend, and it was really good. Also, they were at KetoCon this year, and Carnivore Bar, for those of you who are fans of Carnivore Bar, they have partnered with Pluck, and they now have 2 of the seasonings in 2 of their bars. They have a zesty garlic bar that incorporates that one, and they have a honey barbecue. Carnivore Bar has a line with honey and a line without honey. It's a very small amount, but for those of you who don't want to do any honey at all, they have a line without, but the one that does have it has the barbecue seasoning from Pluck. And so it's a honey barbecue bar. I tried them both. I actually like the Carnivore Bar better without the seasonings, but I do like the seasonings for cooking with in my food. So I'm a fan of it. Oh, I have a question about the shred. Okay. For the summer shred, how is that integrated with present progress for your regular clients? That is going to be actually, I would require everyone to apply for that. So current clients would need to apply for it, as well as non-clients, because I will have to really review it with each individual client. Because if I have a client that's currently working on building, the shred is not going to be right for them. Or if we're doing a reverse, the shred is not going to be right for them. So I will be doing some videos and some detail and sharing detail about the requirements for the challenge, what I'm going to be looking for, because I just don't want to throw any and everyone into it. So don't worry. With private clients, I will definitely tell you whether or not I think it's for you, whether it would fit in with what we're doing or not. Great question. Okay. Next question was about pre-workout supplements. All right, if y'all have seen some of my stuff before, I did a supplement Q&A and I pretty much told you most pre-workouts, like don't bother with a pre-workout. If you're not already taking a pre-workout, I would not recommend starting. It becomes something that's very difficult to get off of. You start to feel a dependence on them. And it's tough to break it. So this question specifically was about breaking that addiction, how to break the addiction of pre-workout supplements, and what is a better alternative for early morning workouts. Okay. Couple of things. You can either rip the Band-Aid off and just stop taking it cold turkey. Your body will adapt. It'll suck probably for the first few workouts, but your body will adapt and you will be okay, and it will be a mind over matter thing. And really, this is what these pre-workouts are all about. The pre-workouts that are sold on the market are because they put things in there like beta alanine that makes you tingle and makes you feel like it's doing something. And people get addicted to that feeling. So it's really not a physiological dependence that you have. So if you are thinking about it that way, you can kind of ease your mind there that you're not physiologically dependent on it. Your body will work just fine without it. It's more of a mental thing than anything, just like an addiction to sweets and anything else. So my favorite alternative is coffee with MCT oil and salt. That would be like the most minimal thing you could do that is really effective. Most, if not all, pre-workouts have a stimulant of some sort in them. A lot of the time it's a caffeine. So you could do it with your own caffeine, coffee, green tea, or anything else with caffeine. You could do a caffeine supplement, although I generally don't recommend taking caffeine in a supplement form. So coffee, salt is amazing, especially on a ketogenic diet for getting that pump. So coffee and salt, or chug a smaller amount of your electrolytes, as a shot, or, I've even licked Element off my hand, like poured it in my hand and just licked it like that and chased it with some water before a workout. Those are going to be your best bets. The biggest thing is going to be the mindset shift of believing you need something to get a good workout early in the morning, and convincing yourself that you can do it without. My favorite pre-workout in the world is music. Most of us have a type of music that gets us jammed, like we jam out and we get all excited and like revved up. Use your music to get you pumped in the morning. Okay. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the pre-workout thing. The other thing you could try is just cutting back on how much you're taking. So just like if you were going to give up coffee, slowly wean yourself off of it by taking 3/4 of a scoop. Like if you've been doing 2 scoops, go down to 1 or 1.5, and then, 3/4, and then half a scoop, and then 1/4 of a scoop, and then, and then come off of it fully. All right. This next question is really, to me, the bulk of this chat tonight. And it is, all right, I'm going to read the question first. There's so much noise in the health space. How do you know the information is legitimate? Okay, I love this question because what is my motto? Be the CEO of your body, of your journey. So I'm always talking to you about owning your journey, about educating yourself and cutting through the confusion, right? And learning yourself, learning your body, and figuring out what's right for you, and always considering your context. So I think this is a great question, because what I'm going to break it down into is the few things to think about when you're encountering new information and you're wondering if it's legit or not. Okay, so first question to ask, is this relevant to me? Because we are inundated with ads and posts on social media and discussion boards and comments in groups, and people are talking about all kinds of different things related to health, fitness, keto, low carb, nutrition, all the things. So the first question to ask is this even in my sphere of like anything that I want to know about? Here's a good example. KetoCon had a ton of speakers. A lot of these speakers were talking about some medical things, medical benefits of keto, and these medical concepts, and mitochondria and cancer cells. And that is not my realm. I'm not particularly interested in it. I don't serve a population that needs that information. So there was no driving force for me to go to those talks. If I had gone to those talks and just soaked up the information, I would have been very confused about what to do with it, because it's not really relevant to me and to who I serve. Now, in your case, you're thinking about yourself. Now, if you're a coach, you can also think about who you serve, or your friends and family, right? If I had a family member who was battling cancer right now and they were open to a ketogenic diet and I wanted to get information about that, then I would have been there. Absolutely. So you have to think about, what are my health priorities? What matters to me right now? What are my goals? And what is in my top priority list, right? For me, that tends to be gut health, emotional relationship with food, hormones and perimenopause, and body composition. Those are probably like my big four. So if it's not in that realm, I will kind of tune it out, unless something catches my attention that I think would be beneficial for my community. If there's a question or something that a client is dealing with, and then it's relevant to that, then I may look into it. Thyroid would be like a fifth. I am not a thyroid specialist, but I do have clients and many in my community that struggle with thyroid stuff. So I might dive into that. But for the most part, if I wasn't a coach and I wasn't serving a community, thyroid is not something that I've ever struggled with. So I wouldn't even go down rabbit holes about thyroid stuff. So you've got to think about, is this relevant to me? Is this a rabbit hole that I'm going down that is not going to lead me anywhere? That's just going to get me more confused. So try to filter out the information that is not relevant to your situation and your context. So I always say, consider the context. All right, secondly, consider the source. Who is sharing the information? Who is that person on the other side? Who are they talking to? So once again, the relevancy piece comes in. Perfect example of this, Dr. Boz, Annette Bosworth, for those who are familiar with her, I absolutely love her. We have met her. We are big fans of hers. She serves a very specific population. She is doing medical ketogenic protocols for those who are sick and or severely obese, but very much a sick population. So I wouldn't, if I was generally healthy, not dealing with the specific medical conditions that she treats and talks about, and I'm just trying to lose weight on keto, I'm not going to go to Dr. Boz and get my information there. That's not for me. That's for a different audience. So when I say consider the source, there's a couple different things here. You can consider, is this person qualified, experienced, and knowledgeable about what they're sharing? Some people are not. Some people are purely influencers, just sharing every single thing that comes across their path. If that's the case, take it with a grain of salt. Also, not every doctor or credentialed individual is sharing great information. So you have to think about that too, right? Take Dr. Berry, for example. He is speaking to a very broad population of people who are brand new to keto, coming straight from a standard American diet. So when he says, eat everything you want in as much quantity as you want, as long as it's meat, that may not apply to everyone. You have to kind of think about who are they speaking to, right? And then the other piece with that is consider their body of work. Look at their content. What are they sharing? What do they share pretty frequently and consistently? Where is it coming from? What is their message? What is their overall general message? Get to know the source of the information that you're receiving. A lot of people are out there, Thomas DeLauer is a good example, just citing studies left and right all the time. Every video is just another study, another one individual study here and there. And they're not always necessarily great studies, but what is the point of what they're doing, right? Thomas is an informational channel. He's trying to get views and he's selling products, affiliate products and things of that nature. So that doesn't mean just throw everything out that he's ever said, but he's diving deep into individual studies and uses big words to try to throw people off and make people more confused and sound important. These are the kinds of things, like, filter it through your mind about, is this for me? And is this beneficial for what I'm trying to learn and trying to implement right now? Those are kind of some things to think about there with the source of the information. Okay, number 3 is a big one. Avoid magic pills. Anything that sounds too good to be true probably is. And there's a lot of, pretty much everything out there today on social media is marketing, and people have learned, especially if they're large channels, they have learned how to use clickbait topics that get you in the door and get you interested in what they're saying. And they have learned how to use words to sell you things. That doesn't mean that everyone who has something to sell is all BS, because there are some great people out there who have developed products based on needs that they see to be filled. But if they are selling a magic pill, this will solve everything, and not always just a supplement or a product, but also it could be their program. It could be their protocol. If they are saying, if it is a one size fits all, and their answer to everything is follow my program, follow my protocol, do what I say, buy this thing, this will solve everything. It's never that simple, and individuals are individual and need individual guidance. So consider that. You are the magic pill. I shared that on our panel discussion at KetoCon. I am the magic pill. Not one specific thing that I'm doing or taking is creating my results. I'm creating my results. And that's the way I want you to think about it. You are creating your results, not the thing you take. So think about it like that. Oh, Renee, I wish we'd gotten a picture with you too. Not this year, my side shave sister. So glad you got some things from our talk. We did hope that our talk would resonate with more than just couples. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. We did talk a lot about your own journey. All right, and now number 4, about how to cut through the confusion and make sense of the information you're getting in the health space, is get a second opinion. You hear something somewhere and you're kind of intrigued by it, and you're not sure if you should believe it, if it's legit or not. Take it somewhere else. Google it and see what else comes up. What other information can you get about this thing? I have Googled and looked at, I don't do a ton of like analyzing studies, but sometimes I do go into the studies. So PubMed will come up on my feed when I search things in Google. You can look for scientific studies, but even more so, you know what? Drop it in the group. I'm always happy to share. We could even turn one of these weekly chats into a Mythbusters, fact or fiction kind of hour, where you just throughout the week can drop stuff in the group to get my opinion or other group members' opinions on what you've heard. Anything crazy, anything you see out there, feel free to drop it in the group, and then I will compile those and we can do a call all about each of those things. That would be kind of fun. Like, what's the latest you heard about and are wondering about? So always get a second opinion. See what other people have to say about it. See if anybody has tried that particular thing. Go into groups and ask, get some feedback. Don't ever try anything without at least looking in 2 different places for it. I can promise you this. If I felt great and I didn't have any symptoms, and I went to my doctor and they ran some standard blood tests, and they told me, I think you have cancer. Like, I'm not just going to go take that opinion and go get chemo tomorrow. I'm going to get a second opinion, or I'm going to get a ultrasound or a biopsy or whatever it is that they do to determine if you have a cancerous tumor or whatnot. I'm not just going to take it and run with it. So don't do that with any information you get. Don't just take it and run with it. Research it. It's worth a little bit more of your time before you put something in your body or do something to your body. Okay, so that was the cutting through confusion in the health space. Is it relevant to you? Who is the source and who are they speaking to? Avoid magic pills or one size fits all approaches and get a second opinion. All right, next question is about I would call it intuitive eating. How does one trust themselves to eat enough with this way of eating? I get full faster and the meat stops tasting good. Okay, if you're carnivore, even ketovore, heavy meat-based, animal-based, low-carb diet, many people are going to share, especially in the carnivore community, that meat has that effect. When you've had enough, you're going to be tired of it. You're not going to want to keep eating. And that's the beauty of eating this way, is you don't have these hyper palatable foods that are hijacking your brain and making you think you're hungry when you're really just craving. So that's a benefit of it. However, if you're coming from a place of you're trying to put on muscle, you're not trying to lose body fat, or you are trying to lose body fat, but all of a sudden you see that you're losing it very quickly. And for those of you out there who may be losing hair, that is a sign of a thyroid issue. And this is usually because you're not eating enough. So if you're concerned about whether or not you're eating enough, two things. If you're new to this lifestyle, intuitive eating is not so intuitive when it's brand new to you. So you cannot necessarily trust your signals as much as you will after, say, 6 months or so. I highly recommend tracking. And I know with the woman who asked this question, she does not like to track. But for anyone who's concerned about anything, and we're going to get to a few questions in a minute about body composition and stalling, if you are not making progress in the way that you want to make progress health-wise, body composition-wise, tracking is the answer. You actually need to see what you're doing with the data to know whether or not you need to change anything. So I highly encourage anybody who has never tracked before, it's not a life sentence. You don't have to track every single thing you eat for the rest of your life, but I highly recommend everyone at some point in their life learn how to track their food and at least do it for a couple of weeks. Get some hard data about where you're at, and then you can find out whether you're eating enough. If you don't track, you're just guessing. But also, if you're not tracking and you're wondering if you're eating enough, if you're maintaining your weight or gaining, particularly if you're underweight, then you're eating enough. If you're losing weight and you're already underweight, you're definitely not eating enough. That's a good telltale sign. Okay, next one. These are some super powerful questions y'all asked this week, and I love it. Okay, next one is about embracing counterculture, which, by the way, is what antithetic means, and that's what our conference is all about, embracing being different. So this question, I think, will resonate with a lot of you who have gone the carnivore route or heavily meat-based after not being so much. After so many years of doing green smoothies and believing in the importance of fruits and vegetables and benefits of yogurt, etc., it is a challenge to be eating so much meat and to weigh pros and cons of different diets. Okay, so if you are struggling with this concept of eating meat, that meat is healthy, if you've really bought into the red meat is bad for you and you're having a really hard time embracing that, really the only way, the best way that you can get over that is to arm yourself with more information. Go out and do more research. Read some books, read some articles, connect with this community of people and watch some videos and listen to some podcasts about it. Learn about why meat is healthy for you and why the things that we've been taught about vegetables, fruits, especially the grains and the seed oils and all of those things are not as healthy as they were purported to be in the past. This doesn't mean, by the way, that everyone needs to be carnivore for the rest of their lives. Carnivore, I believe, is a very beneficial elimination diet that can teach you a lot about your body and about what it reacts to. But I don't preach carnivore for everyone, and I don't think everyone needs to be on carnivore. Not everyone needs to be on ketogenic macros. But I would say that the choice of how many carbs you eat and what you eat is about, it has to be a balance of your health goals and your, it's not really even aesthetics, but body composition matters for so much more than aesthetics, like women not having enough muscle mass as we age, things like that. So get into the education, educate yourself on this lifestyle. Obviously, something attracted you to it, which is why you're here. So educate yourself more on it. And the more you learn, the more it may be a little bit easier to embrace. Now, that's not to say you have to give up all vegetables and fruit for the rest of your life. You know, there can be a place for that. I'm experimenting with putting berries back in my diet more recently, and that's been going well. And I've experimented with yogurt as well. So it doesn't mean, you know, you have to do this any particular way. Individuals are individual, as I said before. So, but this community and communities like it are a great place to be to, I will say the stories of other people can be can be more powerful even than the educational information that's out there. So I'll tell you James's story, who went from vegan to carnivore, is incredibly powerful. So if you hear his story, and I'll find it and I'll share it with you, because I don't know when that video is going to come out. I think that'll help. All right, this is another next one is a great burning question. I love that we're hitting lots of like different topics, but all like topics that a lot of people want to hear about. So next one is about perimenopause. Oh, yep. Tori says tracking food is so eye-opening and empowering me with knowing exactly the choices that I can and need to make. I love it. Yep, it is an incredibly empowering exercise. Renee, yes, I saw your post about the DEXA scan chick. Don't eat so much red meat and increase your fiber. Look, you know, all traditional dietitians who studied under the current guidelines, you know, everything mainstream is going to tell you the things that they've been telling us for 30, 40 years. You know, eat grains and don't eat red meat, and fiber is the answer. That's always what I will expect from traditional dietitians and nutritionists. So, and they will continue to push back, even though all your markers are better. Yep. And you'll still hear that from a lot of doctors too. It can be tough to be countercultural, but you have a tribe here, a safe space. We got your back. If you ever want to know, like, how can you respond to stuff like that, drop it in the group and you will get a lot of support around how you can address those things. All right, this is a great question. Sarah was curious to hear my thoughts and opinions on macro needs during perimenopause. She says, I'm playing around with adding more nutrient-dense carbs the last week of my cycle, and I have mixed reviews. I'm curious what you mean by mixed reviews. Mixed reviews from your body, mixed reviews from others. I would love to hear more about that. Please feel free to drop it in the group, and we can get a discussion going under your post. But all right, macro needs during perimenopause are the same macro needs as any other time of your life. I sat in on a really powerful women carnivore panel that, first of all, was really exciting to see that it was standing room only, seating. People were sitting on the floor in the aisles and around the sides and standing against the sides, and there were crowds out of both doors. So next year they should be on the main stage. But it had some favorites on there, like Judy Cho from Nutrition with Judy, Laura Spath from, I'm forgetting the name of her channel, Dr. Elizabeth Bright, and Danny Conway, who's now one of my new favorite people, who I will be interviewing on my channel. And I think Lisa Wiedemann was on that one as well. So powerful group of carnivore women, all a little bit older. I think probably the youngest was probably Laura in her 30s, and I think everyone else was 40s or up, have gone through menopause or are going through perimenopause, and none of them are on any medications, and they're all thriving in their health. So what they had to share, what I agree with 100%, is that the important thing is getting enough fat and getting enough protein. If I would encourage any woman to change anything during perimenopause, it would be to increase fat and increase protein together. Really, really important. The things that I see going wrong with women's hormones, I see happening because of not eating enough, which is generally a function of not eating enough protein and or not eating enough fat. So we see a lot of this in this space of this super high fat, low protein, or this super high protein, low fat. And I don't recommend either of those. There's a whole world in the middle there that we're missing out on. And this kind of goes along with the cutting through the noise in the space as well, is why are we going to these extremes? A ketogenic, carnivore-based, animal-based diet is already an extreme according to the mainstream. Why do we have to take it to the next extreme and go all fat and no protein, or all protein and no fat? It's unnecessary. So we can actually support our bodies better if we're living in the middle. We have enough of both. And in perimenopause and into menopause, especially, we need to be supporting our bodies with more muscle. And we do that with more protein. But we also do that with the energy that we need, because the biggest issue with menopause is that what's happening with menopause, if y'all don't know, is that your ovaries are no longer producing your sex hormones. Those hormones are now being produced by your adrenals. Your adrenal glands are your stress hormone glands. These are the ones that are controlling and managing your stress. What have all women been doing our entire lives? Over freaking stressing ourselves. And guess what? We could handle it when we were younger, when we had sex hormones being produced by our ovaries. But once our adrenals have to take over, if our adrenals have been taxed for the last 20 years, that's a problem. So really what we need to be doing in perimenopause is managing our energy better, which means we need more energy. Also, cholesterol in your fats is a precursor of your sex hormones. Sex hormones come from cholesterol. They are built from cholesterol. So we need to be getting enough fat. We need to be getting enough protein to support our muscle and our bone density. And we need to be training. We need to be lifting heavy things. So we need to go from being cardio bunnies, which was burning and churning and just killing our energy, to strength training. Those three things, and then recovery. That's the biggest piece. So protein, fat, which is building blocks, energy, lifting, strength training, resistance training of any kind, cutting the cardio down, especially high intensity cardio, and recovering well. We have to manage those stressors. We have to manage our stress level. So putting in those self-care practices is going to be really, really key. That's what I would recommend for perimenopause. More fat, more protein. Carbs are absolutely not necessary for supporting your adrenal health. They're not necessary for a lot of the things that you hear out there, physical performance, for example, and things like that. If you want to eat carbs because you're feeling a desire to have more fruits and veggies or whatever it is, she said nutrient dense carbs. So if you're feeling that desire, play with it. See how you feel on that. Be an N equals 1. But don't let yourself be duped into thinking like that's what's going to solve perimenopause issues. Dr. Elizabeth Bright actually, oh boy, at one point she said, there's no such thing as menopause, as perimenopause. And I could feel like the energy in the room, everybody going, what do you mean? And then Judy Cho kind of went into explaining what she meant by that. But she's basically saying like doctors never tested these levels, and then they test them and then they say you're in perimenopause, but really it's been happening ever since you were 15. It's just been your adrenals. So take that with a grain of salt, but in general, going through the change, I have seen, honestly, if you're not already following a low carb or ketogenic or carnivore approach, reducing carbs during that time of life can have a very powerful beneficial effect because we do get more insulin resistant, more leaning toward insulin resistance as we get older, particularly during that time. So we are sensitive to sugar. So we need to, I'm confounding those words, but that I don't mean that our cells are sensitive. Our cells become more resistant. Our bodies become more sensitive to that stressor in the body, that sugar stressor. So, not to mention the fact that a lot of veggies can cause a lot of bloat and problems with the gut. So, try it out for yourself though, and see how you feel about it. This bleeds into the next question, and this was about fasting with your cycle. She said, I know you're reading Fast Like a Girl. This is Dr. Mindy Pell's book. I just started it and I haven't really dived. I put it down. I haven't dove back into it. So I can't really tell you my thoughts on her protocol, so to speak, yet. But I can answer the second part of the question, which is, she says, I've lost quite a bit of weight using intermittent fasting and, of course, clean keto, but I do keep my window open longer the week leading up to the bleed. Your eating window, I imagine you mean your eating window, not your fasting window. I'm not doing any long fasts, although I have in the past, just kind of focus on the time restricted window. And I noticed that if I keep my window early, I feel really great and sleep better. So just kind of want to hear your thoughts on it. Okay. Yes, I think that Mindy, I mean, I've heard some of the things she's had to say before. So I think what she's saying is don't fast during that luteal phase, that especially that last week before your bleed, that's not when you should be fasting. I will say from my own personal experience and with many of my clients, they do get hungrier at that time of their cycle. So their body, a lot of the time, your body can handle a little bit more then. And fasting during that time would be more of a stressor to your body. So this is what I believe Mindy discourages fasting at that time. She may even discourage keto at that time, which that's why I'm really curious to hear what she has to say in her book. Because I don't think you have to come out of ketosis in particular, but I do think that in general, if you've seen anything I've had to say about fasting before, I don't recommend it. In general, you just don't want to cause a lot of undue stress to your body, and fasting is a stress to your body. So if you stay on point, if you're following macros and you stay on point with your macros in that last week before your bleed and during your bleed, you will see incredible results. Because what I can tell you is most women who backtrack during that part of their cycle, it's because they were eating more. They were overeating because they got those cravings, and they allowed those cravings to convince them to eat more and eat more of the wrong things. In my own personal experience, that's what has been for me as well. I've had months where I allowed myself to eat more because F it, or maybe I wasn't on a cut or whatever. And other times when I was on a prep and I was super strict and I stuck to the plan, even though I had the extra hunger and the extra cravings, I dropped body fat during my cycle, during my bleed. So I will tell you that you can do the same thing that you would be doing with fasting to get the same benefits by just controlling your intake. But I would not further restrict yourself than from what you're already doing during that particular time. I hope that helps. Now, if you're just talking about shifting your eating window from later in the day to earlier in the day, I think that's always a great idea. I think a lot of women get it wrong and they skip breakfast, and sometimes they skip lunch, and they're only doing an OMAD and they don't get enough food in. They're not getting enough nutrition in that meal, or they're still eating really late at night and they're not giving their body time to fully digest, especially if they're doing a large OMAD for dinner and then going to bed within 2 hours. So it's always going to be more beneficial to move that window earlier at any time of your month, at any time of your cycle rather, and for all people, and having more of a fasting window, if you will, before bed. Let yourself fully digest. I always say that I get my best results on prep when I start to feel a little bit hungry as I'm putting my head on the pillow. Like, it's been that 4 or 5 hour mark, and now if I was going to be up for the rest of the day, it would be time to eat again. But instead, it's time to go to bed. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me go back to the comments and see if I have anything else going in here. Oh, interesting. Renee says, prior to going from keto based to heavier meat, Carney Close, that's such a cute name. I love that. My estrogen levels were super low and I was taking generic Synthroid. Now, normal estrogen and thyroid levels, even though I didn't tell my doctor that I stopped the Synthroid. Wow. Okay, I'm not advocating for anyone to not tell your doctor that you're stopping medication or to stop medication without your doctor's consent, but wow, that's powerful. Okay, now we get into the fat loss and recomp and stalls questions. And there are 3 of these, and I'm going to stay on until I answer all of them because they're all similar, and I'm probably going to have a very similar answer to all of them, but they're a little bit nuanced, so I'll share each of them with you. Girl, yes, Alice, another one I got to meet at KetoCon, yay! And she so kindly sat for an interview with me, so I'll be posting that on my YouTube at some point. She says, I did OMAD for a year and used to go to the restroom every 2 days, and now I eat my same macros, but in 2 meals, and I go every day. Woo! Yes! I'm a huge advocate of women stop the OMAD thing. Terrible, terrible for your hormones, and apparently for your digestive system as well. It is pretty bad for your digestive system to make it fast and then feast like that. It's asking a lot of your digestive system. Okay, so getting into our fat loss and recomp questions. All right, question about creatine. Oh, y'all, I'm about to get on a soapbox. All right, she says, I started creatine 3 weeks ago. I know some people talk about an initial gain. I am finding that my losses have slowed this month, but I do desire more weight loss. Could creatine be the cause of my stall? Even if you tell me yes, I don't plan to stop taking it because I definitely want all the benefits. Just kind of wondered if that could be the reason, or should I take a closer look at my food? Okay. I'm glad you brought up creatine because I've also had multiple clients, bring up creatine with similar concerns about gaining on the scale. Y'all, this is psychosomatic. Everybody out there loves to talk about how much weight you gain on creatine. Creatine does not cause weight gain. Period. It does not cause weight gain. Please, please stop blaming the creatine. Creatine monohydrate is a natural substance found in meats. So first of all, if you're carnivore or heavily meat-based, you're already getting a lot more creatine than the average person. But most people are not getting enough from their food. So we supplement with it. It helps with ATP production. ATP is energy in your body. So it goes from ADP to ATP. You don't need to know all the scientific jargon, but it helps with energy for your workouts, for you to get that next rep, right? Now, creatine is going to do nothing if you're not training and if you're not pushing yourself in your training. So don't think it's a wonder drug. It's not a drug at all. It's a supplement. It's a natural supplement. Very well tested. The concept of creatine causing weight gain is because they say that it holds water. This is what creatine does. Creatine pulls water into the muscle cell, not subcutaneous in the skin. So another thing when we hear all the time, oh, I feel bloated on creatine. It doesn't cause bloat. If you're feeling bloated and you think it's the creatine, it's probably something else. Because you've heard about it being creatine, maybe it's even psychosomatic. But if you started it 3 weeks ago and you're not losing, your body's probably adapted to the macros that you're on, and you probably need an adjustment. I usually recommend, every 2 to 3 weeks looking at your macros and considering making changes or adjusting if you're not making progress. Now, here's another thing. You have lost a lot of weight. So your rate of loss was going to be faster, meaning you're going to see more of it on the scale when you have a lot more to lose. And for everybody's benefit, if you're a 200-pound woman and you want to lose 50 pounds, at the beginning of your journey, If you're losing an average of 2 pounds a week, that is fantastic. I always say 1% of your body weight is an average healthy rate of loss. So if you're losing 3 pounds this week and 1 pound next week and 1.5 and then 2 and then 4 and then it feels like a lot at once. It feels great, right? You get down to 150 pounds, you lost that first 50 pounds. Now you want to lose like the last 10. Now your rate of loss is 1.5 pounds a week. So you may feel like, okay, this week I lost 0.5. Next week I lost 1. Next week I might lose 2. I might have a week where I don't lose. These things, we need to follow the trends over time. This is also why I say wait 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks before you make adjustments, because it's an average and it's not going to be the same every single week. But your rate of loss slows down as you get smaller, as you lose weight. So don't expect that that rate you had at the beginning is going to continue at that rate. Okay? Think about it as 1% of your body weight per week is healthy. So I would say that you're probably not stalled. If you said your losses have slowed this month, that tells me that you're still losing, just not at the rate you were losing before. So that to me tells me you're not in a stall. If you said you have not lost anything or you've gained on the scale this month, then maybe you'd be in a stall. But you're not in a stall, my friend. Just slow down the rate. And you probably need to look at either a food that could be causing some inflammation or adjusting your macros. But you may not need to do that at all. If you're still losing, probably doing just fine. All right, next question about body recomposition. Let's see if I have any questions. Cool. All right, the next one is, I've been struggling all this year. I lost 3 kgs water weight from my Christmas screw up, but now I seem to lose and gain the same 1 kg every week. So that's about 2.2 pounds every week, up and down. I'm getting very frustrated. I even changed to carnivore, all animal products, as an elimination in case it was those nasty homemade treats. Oh, homemade treats, huh? But nothing has changed. I still have a lot to lose. I'm 5'2", 75 kgs. Okay. Still in the obese category. What can I do to kickstart the weight loss again? I'm fighting my inner food addict every day to stay on track. Okay. In general, let's see, you lost some water weight after Christmas, and now you're up and down. All right, the first thing I would look at is your macros. If you're tracking, which hopefully you are, you will need to cut somewhere. Your body has adjusted, has adapted to how much you're eating, and you're going to need to drop to be able to drop. So that's generally the way it works in a cut. Eventually you will stall or maintain for a week or two. That's always a good sign too. If you're maintaining at your low, at your previous low, that's a good sign that your body's getting ready to drop again. So it could just drop again. But if, let's say, it's been a month or 2 months, I think you said that. Okay. Let's say for months now, I mean, you said that was Christmas. So January, February, March, April. If you haven't lost a thing, if it's still up and down those 2 pounds, you probably got to cut some fat. I don't know your macros, but I would imagine you need to cut some fat. Sounds like you've already cut your carbs about as low as you can, so you probably need to cut some fat. And or, are you training? I don't know if you're training, but if you're not training, start training. If you're not even close to that, get in some more movement. Track your activity. How many steps are you taking every day? How much are you moving? And increase your movement. That's what it's going to take next. We've got to get you into a deficit. If you're not losing for months, you're not in a deficit. So you're going to have to increase that deficit by either cutting food in the way of energy, carbs or fats. In your case, it's going to have to be fats, and or adding some activity. All right, next question. I've got 2 more questions about recomp, actually. All right, how to change things up to lose weight, but still keep and increase my muscle. That is my specialty. If y'all didn't know, this is what we do in bodybuilding. We keep and or build muscle while we lose body fat. So you come to the right place. I'm working out 3 times per week with a trainer, weights, TRX, and other stuff, eating 95% meat and eggs with butter, small amounts of cheese, no keto treats, no keto chow ice cream, and still sticking around the same weight all month. Frustrating. Okay. First thought for you is, are you tracking your body composition or just your weight? Because you may be recomping. If you're gaining muscle and losing body fat, your weight is going to stay the same on the scale. So, do you have more data to tell you what's happening with your body fat and your muscle mass? That's the first question. Secondly, if you want to lose weight on the scale, it means you want to lose more body fat than you are putting on muscle. So if the scale is not moving, that means that you are likely, if you are losing a little bit of body fat while you're putting on muscle, it's a very small amount of body fat. So it sounds to me like you want to lose more body fat at a faster rate. So that's what will create that scale loss, is that even if you're gaining muscle, your fat loss is enough that it's bringing the scale below that number. So to do that, you've got to be in a caloric deficit. So the same thing I just said to the last question, are you tracking your macros? And if you are, you're going to have to cut some fat. Because if you're eating 95% meat and eggs, sounds like all carnivore here, your carbs are probably pretty tiny. So you don't have anywhere to cut from there. So you're going to have to cut your fat. Or increase your activity once again. You can do what you're doing with your trainer 3 times a week, but what are you doing on the other days? Are you taking walks? Are you otherwise getting activity on your other days? So I would look at your activity level and your macros and calories. Calories are just a function of macros, guys, so don't stress about calories. If you're looking at macros, calories come with them, but basically that's where we get that caloric deficit from, is dropping that fat macro. So I hate to tell you, bye-bye to 1 or 2 pieces of bacon. All right. Another question about body recomposition, my favorite stuff. I'm in the last 6 weeks of my recomping phase. For those who don't know what recomping means, it means building muscle while burning body fat. So muscle's going up, body fat is coming down. And I would like to know if I can still build muscle doing a lean bulk with a specific focus on my quads and hamstrings. This is where I hold most of my fat. Okay, I heard a couple of things here. 1, can I still build muscle? Why would you not be able to build muscle? Of course you can still build muscle. I'm wondering where the still is coming from. If you're thinking that there's some reason that you're no longer going to be able to build muscle. As long as you're doing what you need to do to build muscle, which is eating enough protein, putting enough energy and intensity into your workouts, your training, you're basically increasing your strength, you're doing progressive overload in your training, and you're recovering well, you absolutely will still be able to build muscle. With the focus on quads and hamstrings, you said this is where I hold most of my fat. Okay, fat is different, right? So if you're trying to lose fat in your legs, that's a different question than about whether or not you can still build muscle. Yes, you can still build muscle, but if you're thinking about where you're holding fat, then that tells me you're thinking about, you want to see definition in your legs. You want to see muscle building, but you also want to lose body fat there. Okay, we can't choose where the body fat comes off when it comes off. That's for the body to decide. We cannot spot treat, as they say. So training your legs is not going to help with fat loss in your legs, but training your legs is going to help build muscle in your legs. And if you continue to be in a caloric deficit, which I imagine if you're doing recomp, you're in a slight caloric deficit so that you can get that body fat loss while you're putting on the muscle. If that's what you're doing, then yes, it will come. It's just going to take more time. So I hope that answered that question. And then I had one more kind of in that realm. And that is touch on the in-body scales and what I recommend. Okay, so body composition scales and body composition testing. I'm going to post in the group a YouTube video I did at my DEXA scan office. The guy that I go see for my DEXA scan, he did a really good in-depth explanation of the different types of body fat testing. DEXA is not something you would do at home, but InBody is a bioelectrical impedance scale. Most of the scales that you're going to get, digital home scales, are bioelectrical impedance. Some of them, like InBody, have the handheld sensors that you hold while you stand on the sensors with your feet. And some people think that they're more accurate. They like them better. The thing to know about body fat or body composition testing of any kind is that no two are exactly alike. And even the one that you use is going to be different moment to moment, hour to hour, day to day. So don't obsess over it. Get on it in the morning after your first pee, before you drink water or eat anything or exercise, and take the number and move on. You know, don't test it again in an hour to see if it's different after you had a bowel movement. Don't test it again after breakfast, you know, unless you're just curious to see what happens with it. I mean, have fun, right? I like to do that as a desensitization exercise for my women who are freaking out over the scale. Yeah, weigh yourself 10 times a day and see how different it's going to be. And it's going to go crazy with body composition. It's going to change everything. So you can't ever control every single variable and make sure it's exactly the same all the time. But the important thing is that you get something that tells you more than your weight, that tells you at very least, body fat percentage. But even better if you can get something like the InBody, which is going to tell you skeletal muscle mass and body fat mass. It actually tells you more than that too, but those are the main ones that I look at. We have the hold on. Forgetting which one we have. H20 or N20 InBody system. H20N. Yeah, H20N. See, I knew it was an H and an N and a 2 somewhere in there. We have the H20N model. The cool thing is that it has an app. It will automatically sync your numbers with the app, so you don't have to then write everything down somewhere else. So it's great for tracking that way. That's pretty much all I would say about that. It is on my recommended list, and I do have a list of recommendations. I have a Amazon storefront, if you will. I'm an Amazon associate, Amazon affiliate. So I do earn commissions off of anything from any of my lists or any of my recommendations on Amazon. That doesn't charge you anything extra. So thank you in advance to anyone who ever shops from my Amazon store. It'll send me like 20 cents or whatever, but it'll be every little bit helps. So InBody is on my list of recommendations there. And also Coach Bronson has a code that will get you basically your shipping covered, like I think $15 off. So that link is in my Instagram, it's in his Instagram, it's on my YouTube, it's probably on his YouTube. And I believe at some point I've posted it in the group. But if anybody wants that specifically and can't find it somewhere, drop a comment in the group and I will shoot you that link. So we do have that link for InBody. But I also say, you know, if you already have one that's telling you your body fat percentage, great, use that. It doesn't have to be perfectly accurate. Don't chase after perfect accuracy. Don't try every single method and, oh, I don't like this scale, so now I'm going to buy that one. And you'll be going down rabbit holes forever. Just take the data and move on. You may not see the changes week to week, but month to month, you'll start to notice those trends a little bit more. Okay, let's see. Oh, I got a comment from Vicky after last week's recommendation of just getting up and moving. So I actually set alarms every hour to get up and move. So I finally did. Thank you so much for the push. I needed it badly. Thank you for taking it. You know what? Look, give yourself credit because I say a lot of things on these masterclasses. The fact that you did it, give yourself a ton of credit for that and keep doing it. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy that you did that. Your body is thanking you too. I know it is. Hell yeah. Start somewhere, y'all. Whatever it is, that hump that's so hard to get over. Once you get over those first few days, it probably got a lot easier for you after those first few days. I'm super, super happy to see that. Okay, let me if I missed any other questions, I'll scoop them up and pull them into a future masterclass, because I definitely went way over today, but I think it was all really important stuff to touch on. So I'm glad that I did. And stay tuned for all of those announcements in a written format coming up over the next few weeks. Thank you for being here with me. I wish I could take more questions, but we are well over time. So have a great rest of your week, and I will catch y'all next Monday. Peace out.